I'm depressed. Nah, it's just... I guess I'm kind of thinking about my old girlfriend, you know what I mean? We were together about 3 years, and sometimes when I get on stage, I kind of think about her because, she'd travel with me, and then I'd be up here performing, and I could hear her laugh, It kind of meant something to me, I guess. I guess I kind of miss her. And, she's not living anymore, so You think that's funny or something? I guess I kind of blame myself for her death. We were at a party one night, and we weren't getting along, we were fighting, and she began to drink. And she ran out to the car, I followed her out, and I guess I didn't realize how much she'd been drinking. She asked me to drive her home, and I refused. We argued a little bit further. She asked me once again, would you please drive me home? I didn't want to, so I shot her. That'd be shotgun. Cut her right in half.
Welcome to Comedy on Vinyl. This week we're discussing Steve Martin, Let's Get Small. With me, as semi-usual now, is Mike Preister.
Hello, hello.
And Jeremy Guskin.
Howdy out there.
Alrighty. So, let's talk about one of my absolute favorite albums of all time. I've heard this one!
Yay! A frame of reference, ladies and gentlemen.
Now, Steve Martin, as I understand it, was a regular cast member on Saturday Night Live.
Yes, he absolutely was. He did the Dark Side with Nat X.
Right.
For those of you who don't know, that was his.
He actually founded the Groundlings.
And he did that.
Yes.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
See,
I thought I understood.
Yes.
See what I'm doing here is I'm playing a little game with everyone. I first heard it because it was in my parents' collection, and they made me listen to it, and that was fine. That was a good thing, because it was the first real absurd thing I got to listen to. I probably heard this before I ever saw Monty Python, actually.
Really?
I saw a lot of things out of order, so...
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I probably heard this before I saw any Monty Python, and this is... What year is this one? Is it...
Oh.
I'm an
idiot. I want 78?
Yeah,
I thought it was like 77 or 78, if I recall.
77.
77,
right.
there it is.
Star Trek. Star Wars. God damn it! Did I say Star Trek? I'm sorry, I apologize.
Nerd alert.
I know. Anyway. I don't know how this relates to Star Wars.
Except they came out the same year.
Yeah, that's all I got. That is all I got.
I think that's all there is,
Yeah,
actually.
I think
Which
you're
is
right.
a little weird to think about in some ways, too. But, well, I guess... Maybe not as much. Maybe those old Star Wars... don't seem so cool to anybody besides us old people anymore.
Maybe.
Anyway, so.
I know they don't to the students.
Actually, I don't think they exist because the old Star Wars are now new and have different things and wampas running around.
Darth Vader yelling.
Yes, and Jabba the Hutt in the first movie,
yes.
just there.
What a great scene, isn't it?
It's
Yeah,
great.
really so good.
It's even
glad they added that.
It's even better when Han Solo digitally walks over his digitally
tail.
tail. I have to tell you
hilarious.
that it never looks weird.
Nope. That's awkward.
And it's always funny.
Oh.
And enhances the narrative.
Oh, it's the biggest laugh moment in the film.
I
Clearly,
agree.
And so how about you guys? First time you heard it?
Well, the first time I saw Steve Martin in Star Wars was a revelation. Actually,
He was C-3PO, right?
No, it's actually funny you should mention that because I'm kind of the opposite on this one. I came to this a little bit later. Because I remember seeing some stuff, some of his stand-up in just clips, and then going back to have to watch it. And I remember listening to this album a little bit after the fact, and I think I came to this one after I saw Bill Cosby himself and a couple of the other classics, and this was, again, one of those revelations, like, really? This can be stand-up comedy too?
Yeah.
Well, this is awesome! In fact, this is more awesome than the stuff I've been listening to.
Right.
This should all be like this, and then, of course, if it was all like this, it would be...
Not absurd.
Not even that. It would be a debacle.
Right.
That's really what
Right.
it would be.
So true.
I am such an old man that I was in high school.
Uh-huh.
And somebody, I can't remember, although I do remember Bill Hazel, a friend of mine, said, somebody said, "Do you mind if I smoke?" And he goes, "No. Do you mind if I fart?" And I laughed. That's pretty funny. He goes, "Oh, that's Steve Martin." I said, "Who?" He goes, "Oh, you have to hear this." And we either they had it or we went out and bought it like within minutes. And I just sat there listening to this, album probably over and over again because it was the same realization I think that you guys had, that there was this absurdness about him that again I had never heard before. I'm sure they were out there. I'm sure there were people doing it, but he was the one who brought it to the mainstream.
Yeah.
And it was so... And the thing... I think maybe... he had already been on Saturday Night Live at that time. Is it possible when this came out?
Yeah, he was. I think he was on the first.
I guess because
seasons.
I remember my friend Bill also kind of demonstrating what he was doing when he said, "Let's get small."
Oh, so he's actually
put his hands up in the air.
That's
and
so
stuff.
nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah. To have a little bit of a visual to know.
I'm serious.
Because if you're listening to this, I'm going to get small, and people do it, you have no clue. You hear the audience laughing, but when you see him doing the bit, and my friend was telling me that he does this with he pretends like he's holding a steering wheel, a big giant steering wheel.
Right, or I think that the first time I ever saw somebody do that was George Carlin's bit when he went driving. I think it was Carlin on Campus when he had things he hates when he's driving. Was any 4-foot woman in a Cadillac, and he did basically the same move, and it was just you just see knuckles, that's it, floating on the steering wheel. That's it, and he did and I remember just how funny a visual that was. But
yeah, I've never seen any of this visually, which is too bad.
Did you do a search?
I didn't do a heavy
do a
search.
YouTube search because I thought I bet there's some of this on here. I was thinking I should have done a little look around to see what they had, because I think a lot of this was on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
He would do it at different points and stuff. So
it's weird that a guy can do a whole album again. That is, I think it's well crafted. It's like, as much as it sounds, he's so good at making it sound like he's pulling the whole thing out of his ass. But it's that you can do an album and half of it he's still playing that character of, hi, I'm famous, you're paying to see me, isn't that funny? That's so much of it, but it doesn't come across as crass. It's not he originated. I don't know. No, people can do that character now, and it's not funny anymore.
Well, I mean, it's just I think there's kind of. It's hard when you are good and you can make a reference to it. It's all right, because Steve Martin, even back then, he wasn't throwing it in your face. He was like, I'm a big movie star. And I mean, he was full aware. He's from Los Angeles. He knows that there are always going to be bigger stars than him. So it's always a little tongue-in-cheek, which is why he's able to get away with it so well. And again, when you see later people start to do it, it just comes across as just sort of smug and mean.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And he never came across as smug or mean. It was always you could laugh along with him, even when he was hosting the Academy Awards. And he's making fun of those people. It's everyone at home is thinking the same thing. We're all gay. And he drops it, and again, I think this, and I hate to harp on the same stuff over and over again, but it's probably because all of these genius guys have the same stuff in common. But it was like when I was talking about the Richard Pryor thing, he almost transcends the stand-up comedy on stage and is just a great comedic actor.
Right. Sure.
Because again, all these bits are immaculately crafted, and it still looks like he's pulling it out of his ass.
Yep.
Even when he does that. The holiday wish monologue. Right. I had one wish for this holiday season, and it starts out just so wonderful and heartwarming. And it's Steve Martin, and it's not going to stay there, but he plays it so well. You're just like, yes, I'm at the hearth and I'm listening to him speak, and please, be wistful, Steve. It's even when he sings the song at the end.
Oh yeah.
And the first verse is absolutely wonderful, and you could think his grandmother made this up, and then you realize it's the early mid 70s, and that's not going to stay that way.
Hey, mind if I smoke? I say, oh no, do you mind if I fart? It's one of my habits. Yeah, they got a special section for me on airplanes now.
And again, talk about where bits go to. I have this picture in my head of Michael Scott on The Office dropping an "excuse me" on somebody and just turn a punch bowl.
There you go.
what? You know, people just like, really? You know, although I know I think that somebody made fun of them doing, or it was the British one, they were doing was up and stuff.
Oh, yeah, they're doing horrible was
Tim
up
like goes, oh, really? 8 years ago, you're still doing that one, huh?
That's it, you gotta love it. White people doing outdated 90s slang.
Yeah. Oh, God. I didn't, on a side note, I didn't realize his hair was still dark at this point, unless he was dying.
Oh, yeah.
He went gray quick.
He turned silver. My guess is that it's a dye job, because I think it was pretty early on. He was going, the whole silver thing going and all, too, so.
I've seen footage of him on the Smothers Brothers, and his hair was still dark, but again, maybe it was dyed then, too. I don't know.
Exactly. I mean, again...
He was young then, too, so, I mean, it happened early.
Yeah, and I mean, let's be honest, Hollywood magic. I believe George Burns died with a full head of hair, if you'd like to actually believe that.
Sure,
you know,
that is true.
You can go ahead and believe that if you like.
That's very true.
But no, I think... And another thing I love about this album is you can totally see the jerk throughout the entire thing.
Yeah.
And I love that because so many comedians turn their material into something, into a TV show, into a movie, into whatever it is, and oftentimes it will work, and even more times it will not. But to have so many great little iconic lines in this album literally jump right into the movie, and
it's born a poor black child,
and there it is, and literally there it is.
Fucking line.
It's
I think I'd seen The Jerk before I'd ever heard this, so I was like, oh, I get what that's going to become.
Oh, yeah, I think I did too. I think I saw it out of sequence in that way too.
Well, he, you know, there's the bit in The Jerk, the cat juggling, you know?
With him playing the South American juggler. I just love that bad mustache.
And, you know, it's like cats have a theme sometimes every now and then.
Oh, sure.
Did he do the cat polisher? Is that the...
no, an electric dog polisher.
Electric dog polisher.
I think that's electric dog
polisher. But he talked about giving his cat a bath, was it?
Right, giving the cat a bath,
seems like one of his pets of choice or whatever that he likes to incorporate as well.
Oh, yeah. And that's what I love about him is that, you know, he can talk about political stuff and it's in no way political.
Right.
You know, he doesn't want to associate with any of that crap. He'll bring up Nixon and has no position. It's just like, you know what? Nixon came out with a banjo and just like, you know what, guys? Everything's okay. And you're like, you know what? That would have done it for him. And I love that because it doesn't matter which side he's on. It's just a great little stupid, weird observation.
Yeah.
That's it.
And listening to this whole thing, it's just so it's in no way a surprise that he picked comedy, but the fact that he can do so many goddamn things so well, because he is a great banjo player, and that does help carry it. He's just an entertainer. He's a pure entertainer.
That's a great word to use.
You know, there's a lot of Marx Brothers humor in there too.
Oh,
there's
absolutely.
a lot of, I mean, like it's everything that ever influenced him is in there. I think the only thing we're missing is the magic, because he was a big magic guy too.
Right.
Well, you can
see on the cover.
Well, it's not even that. You can hear him blowing up a balloon animal. That balloon at one point.
That's true. That's true.
You know, you hear him doing some bad tap dancing at another point. You know, he does all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, he has this reputation as kind of being a smart guy and like a worldly man too. You know, and playwright, and you know, sometimes for me, some of those things don't work. You know, you know, I mean, I'm a huge Steve Martin fan.
Me too, but.
You know, but and like there's movies that I just you know are absolutely enamored with. The Jerk, and Roxanne is like really one of my all-time favorite movies as well.
And brilliant because he's so smart.
Yeah,
you know, like to take Cyrano de Bergerac and update it is a ballsy thing anyway, but then to make it actually fucking work on top of it.
And then I remember seeing some interviews with him at the time, and he was taking around saying, "I want to do an updated version of Cyrano," and people were like, "What? What do you mean? Who?"
Yeah.
And like it was like the first guy who kind of got it was the one who bought it and stuff.
Right.
But then there's this times where there's this Steve Martin who does kind of like I don't know, it just doesn't hit me at all, you know? I mean, you know, even as an actor and stuff too, you know, I mean, he's always Steve Martin. You know, he's not making any stretches or anything, but I think he does understand like what a good script is, and you know, he knows, you know, when a movie's, you know, going to be good and all. You know, it's interesting some of the takes he took. You know, The Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid,
which I love.
Well,
it's not a great movie, but again, you know, for trying something, because again,
for its day,
no one would even attempt to make this movie.
Exactly. I think you had to be Steve Martin in Hollywood, and was it Carl Reiner?
Oh yeah.
I think Carl Reiner directed and stuff too.
Well, he also
because nobody now would want to try it, and also it's not like, you know, now with digital, it's so much easier to do the things that they want to do, that they really busted their ass hard
to match,
to integrate things and match scenes and make dialogue go with each other and stuff too. And half the movies I had never seen. Obviously at the time, and since, although one thing it did make me want to go out and see those movies, it was, and it was there, but, it's interesting to see him, like, he's so funny on this album, and, in their movies where he's funny, but he is presentational. There's not a real subtlety, although I see these interviews with him. There was some kind of a special, I remember once, where they just kind of followed him around with a camera. Do you remember ever seeing this thing where... No. And he's so hilarious in his everyday life because he's just walking around. He has a comment, and he's so fast and sees this and says something. It blows my mind. And I just laugh my ass off all the time. And I kind of wish I could get that subtle Steve Martin too, to really kind of. I have this feeling in front of the camera, he feels like he has to push out there and stuff or something to be. He doesn't want to be uninteresting. But to me, he's such an interesting person.
I know.
And so hilarious. I would watch it.
Yeah. I to be honest with you, I hadn't even really thought of that, but I think you're absolutely correct, and and it just sort of popped into my head. I believe maybe he's aware of that now as he's getting older, because when I watch interviews with him on the Daily Show or whatever it is, when he was talking about his band and the music album and everything else, you can almost see that he's making that concerted effort to not be the wild and crazy guy anymore, and he is being much more demure, and being the older statesman, and I still think he's got that sort of manic, like gasoline-powered turtleneck sweater in him. I think he's always ready to go with it. But, again, as you get older and sensibilities change, he does write more, just straight up, dramatic fiction as opposed to the comedic fiction. Even his last autobiography, it's not as anecdotal and sort of off the wall as you think his...
Which was the most recent one? Was that Born Standing Up or Born Standing Up?
Born Standing Up.
Okay.
That was,
I haven't read that.
And a great read, and I really like his stuff, but it is very, very different.
Did you guys see Picasso?
At the Le Panagio?
Yeah. Interesting. I thought it was interesting, but that's where it stopped for me.
And that's just it. And for me, it's the type of play that if it wasn't Steve Martin's name on it, it probably would not have gotten produced, let alone the amount of
publicity.
Yeah, and just the amount of people lined up to be in it and come see it. But again, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because I think he's a great writer and he gets better and better and better.
One of the funny things I thought I read online was that at his first play reading at his house, Tom Hanks did Picasso and Chris Sarandon did Einstein. I go, that was your reading. I was sitting around the house.
It's like talking to Jerry Stiller about. I was trying to talk to him about House of Blue Leaves, just as a play, and he was mentioning the first time that they had read it when John came over to the house, and I'm like, "You mean John Guare?" Oh, he just came over to read it. How quaint. It's like my house. Oh, how funny. It's when you're doing that. I mean, and I don't even know if that would be a good cast, Would he be a good Picasso? Right. I don't know. But, exactly. Yeah. But I like the play, and I do enjoy his writing, but it's just so interesting how different it is.
Hey, this guy is good. I'm a rambling guy. Well, I'm rambling round. I'm a rambling guy. I ramble out to the different time score in a car, get a hotel. Oh yes, 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 oh yes. Oh no. A rambling guy. Hey, R-A-M-B-L-I-N apostrophe or rambling. Okay, everybody.
You wonder what, again, I couldn't find a lot of details about like the genesis of this actual album besides the basic details of where it was recorded and that kind of, because I would like to know, what bits were developed over years and years and what was fresh.
And from what type of performance he was doing at the time.
Right.
He was not a straight stand-up.
Right. He'd been writing full-time for years and years at this point, too.
Yeah.
It's surprising. I mean, for as good and as funny a performer he is, you sit there and go, wow, this guy was sitting in a writing room. That was a blast.
Right.
In all those rooms and all, but...
Yeah. I mean, he talked... There's a story, there's a great it's a pretty good documentary called Smothered about the Smothers Brothers. It's pretty good. And there's a clip from an Aspen Comedy Festival where they're doing a tribute to the Smothers Brothers. And he talked about getting his start on the Smothers Brothers show and how Mason Williams was paying him out of pocket for his first, like, months. Like, he had no idea, but Mason Williams was just cutting a check.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and so, like... So thank you, Mason Williams, because if it wasn't for the guy who wrote Classical Gas, we wouldn't have the guy who played Foggy Mountain Breakdown so well.
Hey, next we'll play Foggy Mountain. Yeah, and again, it's so interesting that we've come back to one of these again after last week, is because here's another incredibly important, groundbreaking comedian who almost everybody born in the last 20 years doesn't even know does stand-up comedy.
Nope, they see him as remaking a bunch of old films that he shouldn't be doing.
And yeah, that's it.
Do you think there's a stand-up Hall of Fame somewhere? Somebody must have that, right?
Really?
Well, I think somebody's probably had that idea. You know, the problem that you run into is once those guys get to be of age, usually at that point you don't really want to hear from them anymore.
Yeah.
You want to hear from when they were 20 or 30 years old.
Was great when he was young. Yeah, nice shoes.
Right. We want Bob Hope now, you know.
Yeah, nowadays I don't think he would do well at all. Not nearly as well, I don't think.
But Carlin's gone. Pryor's gone. Steve Martin.
How about this? I'll tell you guys this. If there isn't the Stand-Up Hall of Fame, I propose that somebody out there build one.
Yes.
And as they're building it, we should go heckle.
Yeah.
You call that a support strut?
The actual construction.
That's what I meant.
While they're building it.
Yeah.
And to the
let's go
workers.
deeper
nice
into the
sexual
architecture.
harassment.
Exactly. Nice rebar, faggot. Like that. Yeah. I think Steve would come along and join us.
It's such a ludicrous idea. It'll almost be funny to kind of incorporate somewhere to just make it be like ridiculously political to get in too. Only a certain number of Americans are allowed. We have to get Portuguese. We have to get Chinese stand-ups. We're going to be universal here.
But you couldn't call it the Stand-Up Comedy Hall of Fame. You'd have to call it like Captain Sammy's Chuckle Pit. You really couldn't call it anything good.
To be honest with you, I don't think anybody wants to be inducted into Captain Sammy's Chuckle Pit.
Come on.
That sounds like something that has snakes and scorpions in it.
Christ.
But the reason I bring up the Hall of Fame is Steve Martin's in there for me.
Of course he is. Yeah.
Would have to be.
Yeah.
And it's amazing that there's not much more stand-up than this, and is it Comedy Not Pretty? There are a couple others. He didn't put out like a bunch of comedy albums per se.
No, most of his great comedy stuff is limited to like Saturday Night Live, movies.
And then he ended up, a movie star. He did the things that we talked about. Pryor had a lot more trouble at doing, and that was turning into a full-fledged movie star and getting movies made, and then eventually like being able to kind of experiment and do movies that were off the beaten track, off the path, I should say.
Yeah, absolutely, like The Spanish Prisoner.
A good movie.
Which I thought he did a pretty good job. And again, I never ever would have thought in a million years to cast him as that role. Never, because because for me, again, being a fan, you look at Steve Martin and you go, he's not fucking telling the truth. There's something he's lying about. But David Mamet made it work. So good for him. And there's also like other movies where he shows up, like Grand Canyon, where I think he does a really nice sort of, he plays a great, really well fleshed out character, and it has some comedic moments in it, but I think it's essentially a serious character.
I'm such a huge Steve Martin fan, and I in general love Ron Howard movies. Parenthood for me was not like a movie I really kind of got into that much. I liked it at best, but huge commercial success.
I loved it.
Huge commercial success, and for some reason, I can't remember. It might have been that it was too good that I hated Tom Hulce's character so much that I was more irritated with him.
What a great little thing to get locked in on.
I spread it to the whole movie.
Yeah, he's awful in that. He's so good. But Robards as the dad is so good, and Diane Wiest is fantastic, and Martha Plimpton. I mean, really is a fantastic cast. It's sick.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
It's really well done.
I was too young when I saw it to appreciate it.
Oh, you got gotta see it. And again, there's
maybe I
certain
was
little
too old.
lines and moments that just land so well. And Steve Martin gets his dramatic moments, like that scene where he's trying at the end, where he wants everything to go well at the kids' play, and it's all falling down. It's that roller coaster moment, and you can see him, and he's living in it. It's a great acting moment, as opposed to, which might have been, it could be a Ron Howard line, or it could just be Steve Martin, when the kid is wearing just the gun belt and the hat, and he goes, "How about I put this on?" You know, and you know that was just like, you know what, he probably thought of that. Saw the kid, and it was just like, you know what, I was wearing that today, and they stopped me on the way into work, which I don't understand because I was on my motorcycle, and usually I don't have a problem. You know, you can see him coming up with that bit. You know, and that's another thing. It's like there are certain comedians I think are so good. Once you listen to them and become a fan, and you can kind of get into their mindset, you can almost come up with your own material, and it's just theirs. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I could probably at this point come up with a Steve Martin bit in my head that has absolutely nothing that he's ever said.
Right.
Sure.
You know, it's like
or a Bill Murray.
A Bill Murray, perfect.
Yeah.
Or even like an Eddie Izzard, or who else? Stephen Wright. You know, I mean, like those people that have just such great material and just such classic timing.
Yeah.
Once you get an idea that sort of hits that same algorithm, you hear it in their voice in your head. You know,
you can just say it. You know, I'm just I'll put on.
It'd be easy to be that guy.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
I wish I were him.
How hard could it be to be Eddie Izzard for a day? You just have to say jam a lot.
But, you know, but that's, you know, again, that's a testimony to people like Steve Martin who, you know, found out how to get it out there, you know? I mean, again, he was a writer, so you know, who knows where he was? I did you read that little bit about his dad had, like, been in a play with Raymond Massey, and he tried to, you know, wrote a letter that Massey never responded to get him in. So obviously acting, you know, was this kind of love of his and stuff too, that he, you know, be performing. But, you know, if he ends up a writer and then somehow works, it seems like it went from writer to stand-up to movies was his path that he took.
Yeah, to art collector.
Yeah, art collector,
banjo,
pianist.
yeah. And what else?
Poet.
He's an archaeologist.
Is he?
Really?
No.
Okay.
I'm trying to come up with anything that would sound...
Cryptozoologist?
Yeah, see, that's a good one, but no, it's too much. You know?
Too much? Too many syllables?
Full analyst or something like that. Yeah, he's a linguist and a linguinius.
But, you know, this is a guy who just thirsts for knowledge, you know, wants to learn more about, you know, the world and himself and whatever it is. And there's a part of me that really respects this fact that he isn't out there on TMZ.
Right.
You know, although he's had these personal kind of craziness in his life at times as well, you know, but...
He's kept it mostly under wraps and mostly to himself.
He's a pretty private person, you know.
And that's one thing I wish I knew what psychosis has informed most of his comedy. Because that's one thing I always want to know.
To be honest with you, I think it's probably being the sanest one in the room sometimes to put him there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and again... My relationship, you know, history is not at all perfect or even approaching that. But, yeah, he was with Anne Heche for a while, wasn't he?
Oh, God, that's right.
Yeah.
And he mentions it in the book.
Does he?
Right?
Yeah. And in fact, and actually she mentions it in her book, which if you want comedy, you got to read. And I don't want to sound like horribly mean, but a group out here did like staged readings of her book, almost like it was the vagina monologues. They took it really seriously, and of course they all look crazy. But
was it Steve Martin who literally called her a starfucker or
something?
Oh,
I would love that because she is, and I don't know if I mentioned this before, but she must be the smartest person having sex in Hollywood.
Right.
She has not made one misstep. No. Just, I mean, and that is damn impressive for somebody who doesn't look like they literally climbed off the cover of Maxim.
Right.
You know, so good for her. But yeah, no, he briefly talks about it, and I kind of love the way he mentions it because, and again, it was one of the things I loved and hated about the book. I wanted more, but he really just dangled the carrot on the stick out there, just a little bit on all the things. Yeah. Everything I wanted to hear about, he went, well, then this happened. I'm like, yeah, but I want to hear more about it. Yeah. So, but
it's just a matter that you know, I am on stage and it's my house out here. You know what I mean? And I come out and I'm giving and I'm giving and I'm giving and I keep giving and I give some more, and I make a simple request. I say, hey, could I possibly have a blue spot?
but I guess the lighting crew feels they know a little bit more about show business than I do. Although I've been in the business a few years, and I think I know what works best. I'm sorry, but I am angry. I come out here, and I can't get a little cooperation from the backstage crew. Excuse me. I'm sorry, I'm pissed.
What, again, this is 77. Smother Brothers 69.
Yeah.
There's 8 years in there.
Yeah.
Of, I'm sure, bouncing around.
Sure.
And maybe that was the developing of the stand-up act. He's in San Francisco, which is not his home territory, but at that time,
Sure.
and still is, pretty nice hotbed of comedy
Sure.
and stand-up and stuff. So maybe that's where he ended up performing more.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, it's harder to work in your hometown or your home area. Easier to go up to San Francisco and say you're from LA than be from LA and get into probably some of the comedy clubs and stuff. But as I would think once you have, I think, did it say he won an Emmy when he was 23? And
he could have.
I believe he won an Emmy when he was 23. And so my guess is that's about the time he was on the Smothers Brothers.
Yeah, because I think they got one, maybe a few post cancellation Emmys. I can't remember if they got any when they were on.
But that's got to get you in the door. Any comedy club.
Sure.
I mean,
you would hope so.
I mean, all they had to do was Google, and they would see where he was.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. But he was the first guy too to be packing stadiums as a comedian.
Yeah, right. That's a big thing too.
And it's obviously not just for the writing. It's for seeing this guy on TV. But I wish I had been around for the time to see. I was just on the periphery. I'm born on the periphery of all this shit. So, to see... it's his personality that's sucking these people in.
Right.
It's not just that he's a funny guy. Yeah. There's no specific bits except for excuse me.
Right.
There's some people expecting maybe he'll do Wild and Crazy Guys on stage on his own somehow.
that goes right back to my Eddie Murphy thing, which is just if you want to see that stuff, stay at home and watch it for free. Yeah. If you paid to see it, you're a stupid motherfucker. Right. You know what I mean? It's there's something about going to see somebody live that you don't want to see the thing on TV.
Of course.
And I get it, and we move so much farther away from that sort of vaudeville mentality, whereas they're coming through, once a year, and I want to see my 3 bits that I love, and then they can tack on whatever they want, but they better do those 3 things.
Sure.
And that was, and of course it would grow, and you're waiting for it, and it's just so hard because I don't know anybody who's got those kind of catchphrase things that you wait for.
Right.
Not
anymore.
I can't wait for that one really good Aziz Ansari bit, or and I like him too.
Sure,
but again, the comedians aren't like that nowadays.
No. What do you think? What if Steve Martin, let's say for some reason, and being realistic, he's not going to do a live show.
I'd pay so much money.
Well, first of all, he would sell tickets now.
Exactly, and it wouldn't cost $4.50. That's another thing that made me feel like crap. It's how much you guys pay to get in here? $4? $4.50? Oh, sometimes I do a $4.75 show. I'm like, you gotta be shitty. Yeah. And the people in the front paid $4.50.
Yeah.
Sons of bitches.
Can you imagine?
But
the ticket stub probably costs $450.
Yep.
The thing that I wonder about is if he decided he wanted to do a show now, I couldn't see him doing a it would be an evening with Steve Martin.
Right.
You'd get all of it. You'd get everything.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. That would be sad. He's going to want to satisfy himself because that's all in person he has to satisfy. And I don't know if the 20 to 30 minutes that you devote to outside stuff would, it would be again at most interesting. And then you'd probably get another half hour of just the most hilarious stuff you'd ever seen. Or heard. Or whatever he would decide to do. He's going to paint in front of you or whatever.
Yeah, I just wonder if he's wants to be the George Plimpton of entertainment, and just try different areas of that.
Right.
For, be the most successful he possibly can, and then move on to being a great
next I'm going to learn the zither or whatever.
Right. Famine.
Yeah.
I would pay to watch him play theremin on stage.
Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. I love Steve Martin. I'm not going to pay to watch anybody play the theremin. I'm not going to. It's somebody with their hand in the air.
Even if it's $4.50.
It doesn't matter. $4.50 for theremin playing? It seems like too much. Honestly, for a high-pitched whine, I teach high school. I can get that for nothing.
That's true. You live with that.
Right, exactly. But no, again, this album, it's just got so many things and other things that you see other comedians coming along to do. Just the way that he takes something and will completely spin it another direction.
Yeah. Again,
his wordplay. Yeah. Like jokes that I thought were brilliant, and then like, I remember the smoking thing. It's like, well, mind if I fart? Right. And I was like, actually, after sex, that's when I really like to light one up. And he just
quit for a year once.
He quit for a year once. I gained a lot of weight. It was brilliant. But he goes and he does that stuff, and you see him rolling with it. And I remember reading as a kid again. Seeing the influence of this pop up everywhere, being a kid and being like a Bloom County fan on Sunday cartoons. And there is one episode where it's, like the Hedgehog and Steve Dallas on one side and Opus is in the middle. And Steve goes, mind if I smoke? And the Hedgehog goes, no, mind if I belch pastrami belches in your face? Right. And then you see him spewing smoke one way and the other one belching the other way. And of course it's both on Opus. And of course he's getting the best of it. But, and I remember thinking that was really, really clever and funny when I was, 12. Sure. And then coming back to see this and going, well, this was actually funnier 9 years previous.
Right.
But yeah, it's just there's just so much that goes along with it, and again, it doesn't stop. And I'd like to know how many shows this album consists of, because this is one of those early albums where you can actually hear it fade out, fade in.
Right. That happens a lot, right?
Before it gets into that stadium thing, before you're getting into Live in the Sunset Strip, Bill Cosby himself, that one train of thought where maybe there'll be an edit.
Yeah. Sure.
This one's got them sort of all over the place.
Yeah.
And I would love to know how many shows it was. For all I know, it was one.
Yeah, right. And how long a show he was doing.
Right. He could have been running.
Got cut out.
Yeah, he could have been running this for 2 weeks, or this could have been one night only. I have no idea.
I know.
The nature of economics, that my guess is it's at best 2 or 3.
Probably.
Just they didn't want to waste tape. I'm making a
literally.
comedy album, for God's sakes.
Right.
Here, somebody was bitching about the cost.
Yeah, and how many edits are they going to do?
Just recording every time. So it's interesting because when you first brought that up, I thought, it's a bunch of shows, and I thought, no, nobody spends that kind of money. They had to have a sound engineer and a few other things going on, that it wasn't just done. So. But there is that weird little kind of in and out going on where you just kind of faded in and out. It's split into 3 sides, or 3 cuts in the front and 7 on the back, but it feels like there's more.
Right.
It just feels like there's more.
It's like listening to one of Woody Allen's old stand-up things. He was like, I have no idea how long this took or how much they took from where.
Right.
But, obviously it was a hell of a night.
I was thinking about this earlier, is that I don't know if it was a result of the era or just a result of who he was, but a lot of what he was doing is fake sincerity, playing off sincerity, but there isn't much that's actually sincere, whereas at the same time, George Carlin was doing, he was a big fat hippie, and he was doing a lot of, I am going to take a second to talk. I'm going to make some really good jokes, but I am going to, he doesn't take anything seriously too much, but, he gets sincere a couple times. He has some real points.
And even though they both talk about things that are going on, I always thought Carlin was really more of the stand-up philosopher than a comedian, because he can do 20 minutes, and I've just been like, this is great, but I'm not laughing. I still love it, don't get me wrong, but this is just really this is how I see the world.
It's not laugh out loud stuff.
Right. Mm-hmm. Whereas this is just so ridiculous. If you're not giggling, you're not paying attention.
Still $4 to get in? $4? That's not bad, though. $4 in today's world with inflation and all that. It's like nothing. It's like, gee, I got $4. I think I'll throw it out in the street. Oh, I can come in here for $4? Okay. What happens?
But I mean, I don't know if this was a thing though at the time, if this was a theme, or if it was just Steve Martin doing that. the fake sincerity thing.
And again, I think it comes from being a brilliant actor and understanding how to set up a good comedic beat.
Right.
And you don't need brilliant material if you can really set the shit out of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can set it up.
Yep.
I mean, again, one of my favorite bits on this, and it's one of those, and for this time, really dark. It gets an amazing reaction. Like my girlfriend,
Yes.
I broke up with, is, she's not alive anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course it gets that laugh because you think it's just a bad breakup, and he's going to be one of those comedians talking about, my girlfriend and I broke up, and it doesn't. It's like she's dead. It's like, and then he goes into this serious story, and he gets the audience, and they think, and as an audience member, you think it's like, well, we were at this party and we had an argument. She started drinking heavily, and I was mad at her, and she decided, I was like, I want to leave, and I was like, you know what, I'm not driving you home, and she asked me to drive her home, and I said no, and so we went outside, and I shot her.
Right.
And you think it's going to turn into one of those, I gave her the keys and I should have,
Yeah.
And damn well it's not going there because it's a comedy show, it's not an AA meeting.
Right.
And you go with him the whole way, and then he just pulls the rug out. I killed her.
That is my favorite joke off the whole album.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it is. It really is kind of the climax too.
And it's brilliant. Just
And
the
he's
setup.
escalating.
Especially because he plays a bit of she's not living anymore in the audience. People think that's funny.
Funny? It's like that's disgusting. That's not the funny part.
Because they know something funny's coming, and
Yeah.
he turns them around and turns it around.
Yeah, and puts it all on them.
That's as close to a joke, as big a joke as he has on this album too. Again, so much his attitude, so much, and it's interesting that again we call him an actor. He's acting like a stand-up comedian.
And that's
is what he's doing.
Yeah.
And he's doing so well, and I think he just understands structures of humor.
Sure.
Maybe not even because they're not jokes. He understands the structure of humor.
And you're absolutely right. And not even just the structure of humor, because he's an entertainer, as you said, Jason. He understands the dynamic of the audience.
Yeah.
He understands what the audience is expecting sitting there watching a stand-up show, and he plays with it.
Yeah.
It's the same thing when he hosts the Academy Awards. It's the same thing when he hosts Saturday Night Live. He will stand there and literally he goes, I know you're watching me do this, but hold on a second. I know what it's like to be where you are too.
Yeah.
So let me just say this thing. You suck! All right, yes, we've got that out of the way, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And he can go on. He gets all the performance dynamics because, as you said before, he's not just a stand-up comedian. He's not just an actor. He's an entertainer.
Yeah. But it's brilliant self-awareness, too, because people can do self-aware and doesn't work. You know what I mean? Self-awareness sometimes just comes across as, like, trying too hard. I'm on your side, but there's, I don't know, there's, like you said, he sells it with acting.
Yeah.
He acts the shit out of it. Ah, my God.
And again, part of that is being smart, writing great material, having, meticulous and perfect delivery.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. The timing.
And literally understanding the timing, and not even of just the joke then, writing it a week ago, but how do I have to play it literally now in this moment to make it work to the best of its ability? And he does it. 9 times out of 10, he does it. He listens to the audience and goes with them. It's like Eddie Izzard. It's like Stephen Wright. It's like Mitch Hedberg. It's like any of the greats. They're actually listening to somebody out there do it.
I was just going to ask you guys, in thinking about him as an actor and stuff, what your favorite Steve Martin movies are.
The Jerk's going to be on top. I mean, I love the Three Amigos, even though it's not a Steve Martin movie.
It is. It's a Steve Martin movie. It's just as much
him.
It's just as much a Martin Short or a Chevy Chase movie.
Sure.
But I
do
think
love
it
that
is. There's not a hell of a lot I don't like. Father of the Bride Part 2, I'm not a big fan of. The one with Goldie Hawn in it, where she lives in his house.
Oh, God.
Anything with Queen Latifah. But these are givens. These are comedy givens. And as much as I do like Queen Latifah, and to be honest with you, if you can be in a comedy movie with Queen Latifah and she comes out ahead of you, you're doing bad. Yep. So Jimmy Fallon, strike one. Yep. What else? I love him in The Jerk. Just any movie he's in, where there's one line where you just want to use it in real life.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't need you.
Yeah.
I don't need anything.
Except for this lamp.
And it doesn't. It could be whatever it is. It's just so perfect.
Yeah.
So there's that, and again, Parenthood. You can throw lines out for that,
Yeah.
and every time it's going to be good.
I thought, as far as more recent movies go now, Bowfinger is still, I think,
Great.
a really solid, funny movie.
I hate myself.
He
that I've
and
never
Murphy
seen
are
it.
great. Eddie Murphy's great.
Oh, and the two
Yeah.
of them were fantastic.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, and this is one of the things I wanted to hit on before we wrapped up, I am born and raised in New York City. I knew absolutely nothing about Los Angeles until I came out here. In fact, watching the original opening credits for Futurama, one of the things they threw in there was a billboard of Angeline in the 3000, and I sat there with my brother, and we were like, who's that?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like, we didn't get any of it. Didn't get any of it. Unless it's the guy with the turban and the guitar skating down the pier. Don't get it. I don't get it. But Steve Martin talks about LA culture better than anybody on the planet. LA Story was one of the funniest movies I saw when I was a kid, and it was one of the ones that got funnier and funnier the more I found out about it. Again, I can still use lines from that today, and it's brilliant. Walk in LA. Like brilliant. And other things like, and again, Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid. It's one of my favorite things. Anytime I see somebody asleep, I'm like, let me make you a cup of my famous Java. And I'll take 20 minutes to do this. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life.
I want to see LA Story again.
It is.
Me too.
I have to tell you, it gets better every time you see it.
Yeah.
Every time I see it, it adds something, and I go, "Wow, I never picked up on that." Like the valet is laughing at the guy for living in the valley who makes $2 million a year. The valet is laughing at him. It's like, where do you live? Oh, I'm in the valley. The two guys in the right too fast. I mean, like little things like that. Like even Patrick Stewart's cameo as the maitre d' of Lidio, the hot, the hot, it's like, do you have any low-fat dental floss? Like things like that. It's, and he wrote the whole thing. And again, when he writes it and puts his all into it, even if I don't love the movie, there's still something in it. Like, I liked Shop Girl, and I thought the movie was okay, but I'll go see it every time, and I still think it's better than it's like a bad Coen Brothers movie. It's going to be better than 9/10 of the crap out there anyway. Doesn't matter how bad it is.
It might not match up to their other stuff.
You got it, but it's still better than
to
everything else.
Yeah.
You got it. You know what I mean? I'd still rather see Lady Killers than Snakes on a Plane or whatever the hell else. And that's not one of my favorites.
What's the one? Did he do with Michael Caine where it was also a remake?
Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. Yeah, and I mean, again, not a great.
A little bit of that and kind of bailed or something.
Not a great movie. Apparently, the musical did much better.
Which is weird, yeah.
But it does have one of my favorite lines in the whole world, which is, "May I go to the bathroom, please?" "Yes, you may." "Thank you." You know what I mean? And the face he makes, and it's him getting to be, and he's trying to do a more, more of an acting job. He's got Michael Caine with him. You can see what he's doing it, but he still is able to do what he does really well. And I think even though I think he's a brilliant actor, no actor can do everything well.
Yeah.
No actor can do everything well, except for Meryl Streep. Honestly, I think she could have played one of the maids in The Help and done a better job.
But can she play the banjo?
She probably could.
I would watch.
She sings
that.
pretty
Would
well.
you pay to
She
see
does.
that?
She can sing.
Would you pay to see her play the banjo?
I would watch Meryl Streep do almost anything.
What if he's playing the theremin on the stage while she's playing the banjo?
Again, this paying for the theremin thing, and you're pimping it real hard.
Yeah.
Do you work for a theremin company? Or
No, I have no idea what you're talking
do you rep
about.
a theremin player?
No, I can't talk about it.
All right.
I can't.
Be courteous, kind, and forgiving. Be gentle and peaceful each day. Be warm and human and grateful, and have a good thing to say. Be thoughtful and trustful and childlike. Be witty and happy and wise. Be honest and love all your neighbors. Be obsequious, purple and clairvoyant. Be pompous, obese, and eat cactus. Be dull and boring and omnipresent. Criticize things you don't know about. Be oblong and have your knees removed. Be tasteless, rude, and offensive. Live in a swamp and be three-dimensional. Put a live chicken in your underwear. get all excited and go to a yawning festival. Okay, everybody.
This album, again, going back over it, it has so many great bits that you can literally say, oh, this is just like a so-and-so, and blah, blah, blah. And it's comedians for the next 20 years.
Sure.
Well, that's, and we brought this up with the other discussions, that when you get lines like, excuse me, and let's get small, that, again, everybody knows. Sure. You've set a standard. You've put yourself up there, above so many other people, and made yourself a part of the lexicon of society, of pop culture, I should say, maybe not society.
Yeah, and again, I have to bring this one out because it's one of my favorite Simpsons lines, but it's the one where Krusty's on the phone and he's arguing with someone, and his assistant's next to him, and he's on the phone, and he's like, "Look, my 7 words you can't say on TV bit is totally different from your 7 words you can't say on TV bit. You're gonna sue me, huh? Well, excuse me!" Hangs up, turns to his assistant, give him 50 grand. Steve Martin online too, 50 grand. And it's like, and again, you can, brilliant writing can reference other brilliant writing and still be brilliant. Yeah. You can steal from the greats and still be brilliant.
Yeah. If we're going to close out on anything, it should just be to remind people who are listening to this who have never heard this album that you absolutely have to if you want to understand comedy. Yeah. If you want to appreciate comedy, if you want to appreciate absurdity because it really wasn't happening at the time and people were trying to be just stand-ups, they were trying to be cynical. This is the antithesis of cynical. It's making fun of cynical. It's also making fun of stand-up, but it's also celebrating entertaining. You know?
And again, there weren't like absurdist albums either. That's the one thing you want to remember too, that this was so different from what everybody was listening to or seeing at the time.
Yeah, again, the closest thing I could possibly come up with for this at the time is the Firesign Theater, but it did not have nearly the reach to people. Again, this is, and you could see how Steve Martin and the Firesign Theater, again, because they were so close to one another, and they had almost all the same influences and coming from the same place at the same time, you can understand where they come from together, but the Firesign Theater is a completely different animal than this. This was meant for the masses, and to go to these big places where Firesign Theater you got to come find.
It makes me wonder, too, again, some of the things he was doing. I know we're trying to get it right up. I do remember one of his specials, or I can't remember if it was a special or a TV show, and the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band was the musical guest, and they did make a little magic, and there's a little thing at the end where whoever normally sings that song, but he came out and mouthed it, during, and again, he was friends. I think they were members. The Nitty Gritty Dirt Band were also a member of the King Tut Band, whatever.
That's right. Oh yeah, that's right. They played backup for that. I forgot about that.
Yeah. So again, wondering what was he doing between '69 and '77? And I'm guessing opening for. I read somewhere online some Nitty Gritty Dirt Band comes out, but there were a couple other big name.
Oh yeah.
Before concerts, instead of having a band, opening band, they would have a comedian.
He used to go hang out and play before Linda Ronstadt and all these other people. Sure, yeah. I mean,
And if you're not fantastic, that could be one of the worst gigs in the world. Because if people are coming to hear music, all of a sudden here comes a comedian. It's just like, shut up! You gotta be fucking fine. You get so heckled, and you've got to be fantastic. You can see where he had to be able to grab an audience, and I'm sure he did. Yeah. I mean, everybody bombs, but you see how he developed this sense of you have to watch me kind of attitude.
Right. And to be honest with you, and this is one of the things that just sort of popped in my head as you were saying that. It's like, and goes along with you're saying, if you love comedy and you want to, and especially if you're a fan now, if you're a Zach Galifianakis fan, you have got to listen to this album because it is the same fucking thing. Sure. Zach's a little bit more polished and cool now, but if you go back to when he was first busting out that piano on stage, same thing. Yep. And I mean, you can go back. Robert Wool was doing the same types of bits. I mean, people have been stealing for this and coming back to it over and over and over and over again. Yeah. And it's brilliant. Steve Martin, brilliant guy, been living in LA for over 10 years, still never met him or worked with him. Steve, if you're out there, call me, please. Right. Call and I will come.
You'll just hang too. It's not just to work, right?
No, I'll shoot the shit. We can talk about,
I'm your
art.
Biggest fan.
Exactly. I teach at the High School for the Arts, and I made one of my visual students put me in a Munch painting. I also believe I'm Venus on the half shell at one point. It's frightening. It's an actually beautiful painting.
I need to see this.
It's absolutely frightening.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm in the Scream. It's great. Oscar the Grouch is on. Yeah, Oscar the Grouch is on the bridge in the back. Nice. It's wonderful. But yeah, no, and to see what he's become, he really, I envy him so much because he could have just become this thing and been doing this his entire career, but he really let his passions and what he loves and wants to do drive him. You know, and that's the music, that's the art.
Another
that's
true
the
Renaissance man of our age.
And it's
you know?
and I don't think we're going to get many of these.
Right.
You know, because even the young people now, you know, young stars now are trying to make music or write. They're largely awful outings.
Of course, yeah.
And I do think, again, it's such a difficult thing to do, besides if you want to do it, to try to convince others in your camp that, hey, I'm going to paint now.
Right.
You know, your manager, wait, they can't make any money off of that, so they don't want you to do that. You know, you're not going to get any encouragement either, so
or
you have to be big enough as he is.
Yeah, or it's not the other side where there's just yes men and everything they do is going to be brilliant.
Right.
You know, it's like, yes, definitely do that.
That's true, too, yeah.
Right. So.
Yes, Miley Cyrus, he should be directing.
Yeah, oh yes, please, you should. Yeah, oh, he's so, Spielberg, he's crap. You should be doing it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're in an age when people can very easily pretend for a few minutes that they're very talented.
Yeah.
Get somewhere with it, and then they're not going to go anywhere else with it. Whereas Steve Martin could do 10,000 different things, but he still picks one of them to do at a time.
Yeah.
You know,
and two things that were never up for discussion was he could write and he could perform his writing.
Right.
You know, and if you got those two things, it's a hell of a springboard.
Yeah, absolutely.
But listen to Let's Get Small. And get small.
Yes,
when
exactly.
you do it too.
You
I
should
highly
absolutely
recommend.
get small when
Oh, and another thing I love about it is and I love anybody at that time who's dissing drug culture.
Yes.
I love
Yes.
that. I love that he's not buying into it, and he's like, he does a little bit of drug bits, but his is getting small. You know, like, if you can get into the balloon, you're coming with me. You know what I mean? And then when he talks about, like, dope and everything else, I think those people should be taken out and maimed. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, that's an awkward stance to have in 1977.
Yes.
But, you know, man, good for him.
Agreed.
But anyway.
Well, everybody, thank you so much. We'll talk more about some other album next. And thank you, Jeremy.
My pleasure. I am a huge Steve Martin fan, so this was a lot of fun.
I'll pick up another one. We'll go over it, even though this is the one. This is the one that everybody loves.
We'll find more.
What would be the worst or most obscure thing to talk about that he's done?
I'll find a soundtrack to one of his really bad films.
Oh, really? Because I was trying to come up with, like, what would the worst movie be, and I mentioned one with Goldie Hawn and the Queen Latifah one, so I think I kind of let the cat out of the bag.
Well,
maybe.
we'll do some hunting. But thank you, Mike, also.
My pleasure. Always fun.
And thank you very much for listening to Comedy on Vinyl, and we'll catch you next week and things like that. All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Where's it? There we go.
We had a chicken yesterday for dinner, yes we did, and talk about the song.
Comedy on Vinyl is recorded at Fort Awesome Studios in Burbank, California. Go to comedyonvinyl.com to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr. Our producer is Mike Warden, and our editor is Jason Klom. Comedy on Vinyl is a production of Stolen Dress Entertainment. To see what else we're up to, go to stolendress.com and look at our podcasts, our books, our blogs, our videos, and anything else that might strike your fancy. And if stolendress.com is too long for you, you can always go to goo.gl//Y_SQZ as in zinc, F.
To open the show, I always like to do one thing that is impossible. So right now, I'm going to suck this piano into my lungs. There. Okay, let's get started. We're having some fun, though, aren't we, kids? How many people are here tonight? Raise them up, everyone. Good.